Welcome back, fans, to the ECHL Insider. I'm your host, Garrett Hunter, excited to dive into more ECHL off-season content with you today. And boy, do we have a great episode for you as we will preview the South Division for you with their finished order of last regular season. We'll start at number 7, the Gladiators, and finish at number 1, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. So let's dive right in from number 7, the Atlanta Gladiators, who last season got off to an amazing start, 8-0 under first-year head coach Derek Nesbitt, but the former Gladiator great in his playing career was not able to do well behind the bench in his first season. Ultimately, the Gladiators finished last in the entire league, and mainly because after that hot start, a lot of call-ups, a lot of roster turnover for this Gladiator squad. And when you think about going into this next fall, I think Nesbitt will be looking to sign more ECHL contracts to get a more consistent roster on a night-to-night basis versus leaning more on those AHL and NHL contracted players from their affiliates. Well, at number 6 is the Savannah Ghost Pirates, finishing up their second season as a franchise. This one, like the first season, not a playoff season in Savannah, and that did lead to some changes. Obviously, Jared Stahl was hired as the new bench boss for the Ghost Pirates. He hired a new assistant coach, equipment manager, athletic trainer, and so 4 new faces behind the bench of the Ghost Pirates from top to bottom there. Big changes, obviously, in the coaching staff, and a lot more changes we'll see on the ice. Some notable changes with Michael Bullion, starting goaltender for the Ghost Pirates, was traded to the Worcester Railers. So goaltending is going to be a big question mark for Savannah, who they're going to bring in to fill that gap as the season nears. And a lot of returning players, also a lot of new faces, though, on this Savannah roster as we near opening night for them. Well, at number 5 was the South Carolina Stingrays, and this also led to a coaching change. Brennan Kotyk was fired, and new head coach is now Jared Nightingale of the Stingrays now. And when you look at these guys' season in the league, they finished 11th, which when 16 teams make the playoffs, you would think if you finish 11th, that's good enough to make it. But because of how good the South Division played compared to the rest of the league, 11th was not in the top 4 of the South Division, as you see. They had a great season, one of the best of the league, obviously in the top 16, but not enough to make the playoffs because of their division and just how competitive it is here in this division on a night-to-night basis. South Carolina had a chance at the playoffs, and it came down to the final weekend down there in Estero, not able to pull off enough points, and the Orlando Solar Bears was able to slide into that 4th place spot. So definitely a bitter taste left in the mouth of the Stingrays and obviously their fan base as well. They will look to avenge that and come out with a strong start to next season. And at number 4, the Orlando Solar Bears. Boy, was it an electrifying season for these guys, clinching the playoffs with only 27 seconds left in the regular season. It was Alex Fry's goal to give them a 1-0 victory over the Royals in the regular season finale, ultimately hoisted the Solar Bears to their first playoff appearance in 4 seasons. And it didn't end there for the Solar Bears. An electrifying first-round playoff victory against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. That playoff series, very back and forth, featured a overtime game-winning goal from Braden Lowe in Game 5, brought the Solar Bears back from 2 goals in the third, and then they were able to pull off the victory in overtime. And ultimately, it was handshakes in Greenville in a Game 6 victory for the Solar Bears. Moving on from there, in the South Division Finals, they met their match, though, against the Florida Everblades, a 4-1 defeat for the Solar Bears. And with that, just, you look at the accomplishment, though. I know, obviously, losing to your rival in the second round of the playoffs, disappointing, but you think about the accomplishment, first time making the playoffs in 4 seasons, second-year head coach Matt Karkner made this team just leaps and bounds better than last season, his first year, and a lot to look forward to as a Solar Bear fan. This preseason roster, by the way, tons tons of returners from last year, including both their leading goal scorers, Aaron Luchuk, the captain, and an alternate captain, Braden Lowe, both coming back for the Solar Bears. A very good collegiate goaltender, Alexis Gravel, was signed. He has a goals against average of under 2 per game, so a lot to look forward to in the City Beautiful for Orlando as we enter the fall. And at number 3, it was the Florida Everblades. And if you don't know what the regular season rankings were before watching this video, you'd be shocked to know that, yes, the Everblades finished 3rd in the South Division in the regular season. But despite that, they did win their 3rd consecutive Kelly Cup, the first time ever in league history we saw a three-peat, and that was under head coach Brad Ralph, who has now won 3 straight Kelly Cups behind the bench of the Florida Everblades. And guess what? He's back trying to win a 4th straight this fall. He will be back behind the bench for the Florida Everblades, and a lot of returners from that roster last season. Also something to note, Cam Johnson, their starting goaltender, who's won the last 3 cups with head coach Brad Ralph, he has an AHL contract with the Springfield Thunderbirds, who are in an affiliate deal with the St. Louis Blues and Florida Everblades, so very likely that we will see Cam Johnson for yet another season there in South Florida. And when you put Cam Johnson and Brad Ralph together, starting goalie and head coach, that's resulted in 3 Kelly Cups in a row. So pretty good formula for the Florida Everblades heading in to look for a 4th Kelly Cup in a row. And at number 2 was the Jacksonville Icemen. They punched in another fantastic regular season. Tons of momentum on their side as they entered the playoffs, and they played like it through the first 4 games. A 3-1 series lead they had. Their only loss was in overtime, and it looked like Game 5 in Estero was going to be handshakes, but the Everblades rallied back to win 3 straight in this series, ultimately defeating the Jacksonville Icemen in a Game 7 up there in Jacksonville. And honestly, just shock on those faces of all those fans that night there on that Wednesday night in Jacksonville. Just complete shock. A 3-1 series lead over the back-to-back champions at the time, the Florida Everblades, was not enough. They lost 3 in a row, and the Everblades advanced. So just a lot of question marks for the Icemen after that. And their head coach got a job in the AHL. And with that, Brandon Maschinter, the former assistant coach, he is now the head bench boss for the Icemen heading into the fall. So definitely a familiar face, right, as an assistant coach. But now he will get the full keys to this team headed into this next season, and a lot of anticipation. Now, what can the Icemen do headed into another season? A lot of playoff appearances recently, but a lot of times that they've been eliminated to the Florida Everblades. And guess what? Opening night is against the Florida Everblades in Jacksonville. So that one definitely should be a big-time game. Expect a sellout crowd there in Jacksonville for that one, as they want to kind of right or wrong with how the season ended against those Everblades. And at number 1, the South Division regular season champs was the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Oh my word, just what a dominant season from this team. First place, really, from November on. They just crushed it down the stretch, but you get to the playoffs, and man, they met their match. The Orlando Solar Bears surprisingly eliminated the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in the first round. Talked about it earlier, 4-2, and a lot of shock on those home fans in that Game 6. It was in Greenville that they had to shake hands to be eliminated by the Orlando Solar Bears. And Greenville now, another coach that got a job in another league. So with that, Kyle Mountain, former assistant coach, is now the head coach there in Greenville. So a lot of anticipation, very similar to Jacksonville. A lot of anticipation coming in this next season. You had such a great regular season, and prematurely it ended in the playoffs. So Greenville will have high standards, high hopes coming into this next season. Well, make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Looking forward to talking about the Central Division in 2 weeks. We hope that you will like this video. Tell your hockey friends about us, and we will see you in 2 weeks to preview the Central Division.